Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life. And the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Wealth Podcast, where I'm your host, Philip Ramsey, and have an amazing guest this time, Betty Garcia with Sonora Tortillas. Cannot wait to unpack her story, but let me give you her bio. One, she's super genuine. She's done some work to get to where she's at. She has a past. She loves people, and she's excited about her future. And I got the pleasure of knowing her at Goldman Sachs 10,000 Businesses. Yes. And so we're in the same growth group. What's a growth group, you may ask? Well, it's about 6 business owners that are doing life together, going through the trenches, figuring out what they're excited about, what they're not excited about, and being authentic and vulnerable. So just right there, that's the best bio I've ever done. Betty Garcia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
One, it's been a pleasure to get to know the last 12 weeks.
Likewise.
We've been working on not only our business, but ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to let's start there. Okay. So if you were to flash your life back 20 years ago, did you feel like you'd be in the position you are today?
I don't want to think what I was like 20 years ago.
Love it. Love it. What did you think that you'd be today? Like when you were growing up, what was it that you're like, this is what I want to do when I grow up?
You know what? That's funny because if I was not doing what I'm currently doing, I don't know what I would be doing.
Okay.
You know, I love to teach yoga. But yoga doesn't pay.
Not much, no. Yeah,
so
right.
Unless I'm traveling all over the world and teaching
yoga, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're a second generational business owner with Sonora Tortillas.
Correct.
And you want to be known and are known as a Sonora Tortilla lady. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. See, here we go. Not only does it have a rich history, the company, but you're taking it on to the next level.
Taking it to the next level.
And I'm sure the listeners that have listened for a long time, I get pretty excited about people that are paving a new path, that are going out and making things bigger than they once were. And that's what I was like first drawn to you, Betty, is because you're taking a business that your parents started.
Yes.
And now you're taking it to the next level. And how hard that is. Mm-hmm. And one would think it's almost easier. And I would almost argue it's harder because there's maybe preconceived notions. There's histories that happen. There's also dynamics with family. Mm-hmm. But you're doing it, sister.
I don't have a choice. We're doing this.
Let's talk about the history of Sonora Tortillas.
Yes.
Let's just give the listeners a little broad brush of the history. And then we're going to go into a little bit more.
So we were living here in Des Moines, Iowa in 93 when we had the floods.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the floods of
Yes.
93?
Uh-huh.
So my dad at that time, he was working at a meat packing place.
Okay.
My mom was cleaning houses.
Okay.
You know? So
Did you guys grow up in Des Moines area?
we came to America when I was around 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And my mom's sister lived here in Iowa. Don't ask me how she got here.
But you're so glad you're here.
Yeah. My mom came to visit her and
Probably in the summer. She probably came to visit her in the summer.
she did.
Yeah, she did.
She did. And I remember seeing snow for the first time. That was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Today.
Until it isn't cool.
Like today. Correct.
Right.
So during the floods of 93, my dad's plant shut down because of the floods.
Oh, for sure.
So he didn't have a job.
Wow.
So we have family in Texas. And we decided we were going to go and try our luck there.
Okay.
Because some uncles, he has a dairy and other businesses that my dad could, help with.
Sure.
So we moved the whole family there. I was a senior, in high school. And that was super intense. I mean, how could you move me during my senior year?
Yeah.
Come on.
And what high school were you going to in Iowa?
Dowling.
Oh, you were Dowling. Yes, you were. Okay.
So I started out at Lincoln High School
Yeah.
for my freshman,
Yep.
and I kept getting in trouble.
Imagine
So
that.
my mom and my dad was just like, "We're going to send you to a Catholic." Like,
This
okay,
is gonna be
this
better.
is like, right?
Yeah.
That's another story for another day.
It sure is.
Right? So we moved, and I feel like there was a town population of 500. I'm sure it was more, but
Tiny.
it was really small.
Tiny.
And I couldn't. The town is Stephenville, Texas. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And because of when we moved, I wasn't able to, the high school was full. So I had to go 10 miles out to Lingleville.
Oh, not Lingleville.
Lingleville.
Those dirty villains.
Seriously. Where you have the whole high school under one room.
Ugh.
I graduated with 6 other peeps.
No.
Oh, yes.
Dude, and you didn't want to be there in the first place.
Exactly.
How much did you resent your parents?
So much that I told them about my senior class, all
Yeah.
6 of them, that, here in Des Moines, big city, we do senior skip day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had never heard of it until
Let
me.
me introduce this to you.
Right?
Yeah.
So then it was just us 7. So this is not going to be fun. So we had to take some of the juniors with us.
Called leadership.
Right?
Leadership. Betty's a leader.
And we skipped. We skipped. And of course
you
it was very noticeable that we were
Yeah.
gone.
25% of the school
Right?
is gone.
And we got licks.
What?
I know. Yes, we got licks. I had no
Was it
idea
a
what
Catholic
that meant.
school?
No. This is like a
Texas.
practice.
Doing
Yes.
the deal.
Right. And I had no idea what that meant, And I remember we were all like in this room in school, and they're like, "Well, what do you guys want? Do you guys want to come in on a Saturday and plant flowers, or do you want licks?" And everyone's like, "Licks, licks." I'm like, "Licks."
Yeah.
No idea what that meant.
Okay.
And then when I saw what that was,
They like hit you with a small stick,
it wasn't
right?
a small stick. It was a pad. It was a wooden paddle with
like
holes.
like a fraternity?
Yes. Whack.
No.
1 lick per class we missed.
That's like 8.
Correct. The principal felt so sorry for me because I started crying after the second one.
Yeah.
That he only did 3 on me. But it was
Oh,
so
my
intense.
goodness.
And I couldn't tell my parents, like, I got abused at school. Because why did you get abused? Well, because I skipped school. Right.
So you just took your licks and
took
you were
my licks.
quiet. Oh
Right.
my goodness.
I know. So
That's like traumatic for me. And
Right?
I wasn't even there.
right? So I was done. I graduated. I'm like, I'm done.
I'm out.
I'm going back to Des Moines, and I don't.
metropolis.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Big city gal.
Yep.
And my parents that's where they started the flour tortillas. We were
In Texas?
In Texas.
Okay.
Correct. In our living room, where most people have their television and
Yeah. Right.
and
Not
couches.
you.
No, we
Tortillas.
had little industrial machines,
Whoa.
and it was interesting because there was only one grocery store in the town. It's the local Piggly Wiggly.
Okay.
So my mom would.
Is
would
there
mix her
a
teas.
worse name than Piggly Wiggly?
Isn't that disgusting?
I mean, Hy-Vee's not much better, but Piggly Wiggly, like,
I mean, Piggly.
it's
is-
just,
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Every time I see that, like, is that right? Anyway,
Right?
keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine. Piggly Wiggly. Memories. Of course, they did not have any good tortillas. And tortillas have been a staple in our home. So every day when we come home from school, there's always been tortillas.
So what's your like family history? So the listeners aren't going to listen. We didn't want to record this via Zoom or video. So like what's your descendant like? How did you come up? What's like your family heritage?
like what's my
Lineage. Like how did your parents came from what country?
Oh, so where we're from? We're from Mexico.
There you
We're
go.
Mexican.
Yes. So tortillas are a big thing.
Oh, huge thing.
Yes.
However, Sonora is known for the flour tortillas. The rest of Mexico is corn.
But the
best tortillas are from
Sonora.
Sonora.
Yeah.
Correct.
And like this is a good place to just stop here.
Okay.
Because they are the best tortillas.
Yes.
So good.
Agreed.
Like you would be like, just spit mission right out of my mouth. They're so bad compared to Sonora Tortillas.
Mission is the bad word.
Yeah, it's like a 4-letter word, I'm sure, around the Garcias. What did you just say?
Right.
But they are amazing. Like, I'm not joking. I've
you.
had them, obviously, and like, once you go Sonora, you don't go back.
Right.
It's kind of my new motto. I don't know.
Nice.
Okay. Sorry, keep going. So
Yeah.
they're down in Texas.
Yes.
And they're making tortillas in their living room.
In the living room.
Selling a Piggly Wiggly.
Selling it to Piggly Wiggly. Correct. Putting them in little milk crates, and putting a sticker on top of the bag, and that's how they went. Today, obviously, that would not fly by the FDA standards.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher, a little tougher.
So, it kind of gives you an idea how long this was,
right?
But
did you move back to Des Moines?
Oh, yes.
While they were doing the deal?
Yes.
So you weren't like bringing up and you weren't making tortillas down there and for other people, for Piggly Wiggly. You were making tortillas for you to eat, but not like that.
I don't know how to make tortillas.
Oh, that's fascinating. Because you weren't there. You were in Des Moines while your parents were doing
my
the
mom
deal.
has always made them.
Okay.
And then when I came into the business, we had industrial equipment.
Okay.
So like by hand, I'm sure I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But
wow.
I personally have never made
a tortilla by hand. Okay. That's actually interesting. So you're up in Des Moines.
Still authentic though.
Still totally authentic. And they're down there and they're making tortillas.
They're making tortillas.
How many do you think they were making?
Oh, my goodness. Every day, we're talking maybe 10, 15 pounds worth.
Okay.
It's very small batches.
Okay.
There was no preservative in it, so obviously they only lasted about 7 days max. Wow. So it was a daily thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh. Okay, and then when did they decide, like, okay, this is bigger than the Piggly Wiggly down the road. We need to make it for more Piggly Wigglies.
Well, it didn't quite happen like that.
Okay, so tell me how it happened.
So Betty moves back.
Yep.
She moves back because she doesn't like the vibe down in Texas. And, things happen and Betty got pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So my parents were like, we can't be away from our first grandchild.
Nope,
my daughter is the first grandchild. So my parents packed everything up and decided to move here.
Do you have any siblings?
I do. There's 4 of us.
Oh, wow.
I'm the
You're the
oldest.
oldest. Okay. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Or the black sheep.
We're going back to Iowa.
Going back to Iowa.
Okay.
Yep. They brought all the little equipment back and it got settled into a storefront. My dad still worked the night shift. He ended up finding work during the night shift.
Not tortillas. This is like just...
Yeah, because,
grinding.
we still wanted to do the tortillas, but obviously, we needed to survive. So my mom... when they were not making tortillas at the storefront, they were working for sure until it got to the point where they were only just making it. And at that time, there was only 3 of them, very small industrial equipment. They were probably in a room about, I want to say maybe about 700 square feet.
Wow.
And it was
outside the house, though.
Outside the house.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, that's that. So they had rent.
Yep.
They had overhead.
Yep.
They were running a business.
They were running a business.
Because they saw a need for it or because they liked it? Like,
because tortillas around here suck.
They do. Amen. I'm there. Yeah.
It's a family recipe. It depends on who you ask. My dad says, well, you always made them with my mom. And my mom's like, no, my mom taught me. It's a really sore subject.
Okay. We won't bring that up anymore.
No, to them.
Okay.
I only know one way, and that's my mom always made them,
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So then they start kind of making the deal, but also working another job just to make sure to pay the bills. And then when was it that they stopped and quit their job totally to just make tortillas?
When they were able to have production on a daily.
Okay.
And so they saw the need, they made great connections with some of like the local Hy-Vees, a couple of the fairways, and...
Which is fascinating because it was your dad or mom who had to sell that. Like kind of a salesman.
Yeah, my dad just...
There's a sales component to that.
Right. You know what? Good.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. I never thought of that.
Really?
Because I don't let my dad get near customers today.
Okay. I love it. Okay.
My dad, he likes to talk.
I do too. We'd be friends, I'm sure.
Yes, you guys would, because we'll just reserve that comment.
Okay.
But he's a talker. He's a people person, and with the limited English that he has, he still was able to make those connections.
Yeah.
And he would deliver, a couple of cases to a couple of the fairways. One particular manager at Fairway, who's big dog now, he took a liking to my dad, and just, a couple of other fairways came into place. And then we fast forward to 2006, around there.
Okay.
Then the bank approached my parents and said, hey, maybe it's time for you guys to get into a bigger location, bigger equipment, what do you guys think about that?
Okay.
And it took a while to convince my dad. My dad's kind of like
conservative,
very conservative. If it's not broken, why fix it? Type of mentality. And then they did, and then we got hit right with the. Where
were you? What was your role in the position or in the company at that point?
At that point, I was a executive secretary for one of for Nationwide.
Okay.
One of one of the big dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the insurance companies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And during that time when the whole market crashed, it was in 2007, 2008, I think it was.
Yeah.
They decided they wanted to relocate our unit to Florida. So I had the option to move to Florida.
Your executive suite, the
team.
Executive team.
Yes.
Okay. Wanted to move to Florida. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Our whole unit.
Right.
And so I've always had my hand in the family business.
Right.
My mom kept very good records on a calendar.
Yeah.
High V, 14th, 2 cases. That's the record keeping, And my parents, they did the best that they could with what they had.
But they had a need.
They had, exactly. Yeah.
And you had a need too because you didn't have a job, because you weren't moving to Florida.
Exactly. That was, yes.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! My dad only has 8th grade education, and my mom has a 3rd grade education. So,
wow. That makes this story more fascinating to me. So keep going. I'm in it. And
then, if a check wouldn't come in, my mom would call and it's like, Betty, can you call the High V on 14th? There's 2 cases that we
need
delivered.
To pay for.
Yeah.
Right.
So then I would do that. If I was to move to Florida, I know that there was no way I was going to be able to help them.
Right. And the business is done.
Right.
And they just took out a loan.
Right.
It sounds like that's not an option, really.
Correct. Yes.
Huh. Especially because they came back for you having a baby.
Exactly.
So now
you're for me to move. Exactly.
Resent you as much. So here we are. I'm putting the two together. Oh man.
Stop doing math. Stop. So I decided to, go all in and did a food show. I remember one of the big wigs was having a food show and invited us to be part of it and to pair up with, at that time, his girlfriend who was working for an egg distributor. So then between her and I, we made breakfast burritos.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Right?
Gosh.
And I just asked them, like, hey, I noticed that you guys don't have a private label. I'm your gal.
Yeah, we can do this.
That's right.
Sonora Tortillas doesn't have to be Sonora Tortillas.
Correct.
It can be your label.
Right.
And be Sonora Tortillas.
Correct.
Which, if you're the other people, like, it's that good. Like, you'd
It's-
be like, wait, I can put my name on this and you can do all your secret stuff. Like, I'm in.
Right?
Brilliant.
Super brilliant.
You're also a salesman. You take
There you
after your
go.
dad.
I'm like, hey, help me put my kid through college. Let me make your tortillas for you with your name.
Sure. Yeah.
And it worked. It worked.
Okay, so what was that label? Now, you
Fairway.
It was Fairway.
Yeah.
Dun, da, da, da.
Da-da-da. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how you can have your very own wow. You have your own tortillas, and you can go to Fairway to get them.
Correct.
And they're just branded Fairway.
Yes.
Sonora Tortillas, Fairway,
That's right.
which is brilliant. That's where I get them.
Yeah.
For the record. Okay.
so that's kind of where how that whole thing started.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And from there, I just have knocked on doors.
Right. So let's talk about the dynamics of your parents and you now. So
Okay.
when was it where you're like, okay, now I'm at the helm of this ship and we're taking this to the next level? It seems like that was a fairly easy transition. They're like, all right, Betty, there you go.
Yes and no.
Okay. Talk about it.
So I come in and, just on the daily, the writing out checks, the ordering product, the, raw material, all of that stuff, hiring, because now with this new equipment we had, now it has to take 8 people to run it. As to before, the equipment that they had, it was just 3.
Okay. Wow.
But so it was my mom, my dad, and then one other person that they would hire.
Yep.
Easy, right?
Right.
And my mom usually found that person in church.
Good old church.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But now we need 8.
A team. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I was doing all the hiring and firing and training and
Whoa.
the whole 9 yards. Yes. So my dad is just like, here you
It's
go.
yours. Yep. Run it.
Here, do everything, but make decisions.
Awesome.
It was great.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah. Be my hired hand.
Right?
Be the right-hand man, but don't make any decisions.
Exactly.
Just do what I want.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so then when was it like, okay, but now I'm going to take this over and we're going to the next level?
When I feel like when I kept getting pushed back on things, like we need to grow. We need to, there's more. This is a virgin market.
Yeah.
There's not another manufacturer.
And you have the amazing product.
Yes.
We just got to get it out.
Right. And this, which means media, webpage, marketing materials. We need merch,
Right,
we
Sonora merch.
That's right.
Yep.
And if it's not broken, why fix it?
Right.
So a lot of times, we've clashed quite a bit. But I think he's at this point now where he's like, you know what, Betty, do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
I'm done.
right,
Just
right.
what do you need me for at this point? So we're going to fast forward to COVID.
Oh, yeah.
We were doing great in COVID. I mean, it's food.
People love it. Right?
Yes.
Still got to go to the grocery store.
Still have to eat. Still have
right.
to have Taco Tuesday,
Oh, yeah,
whatever
you
that
do.
crazy thing means, but whatever. Taco Tuesday it is, And we were doing really, really, really well. I feel like, especially when people were scared that there's going to be a food shortage, woof.
Gotta have
orders.
tortillas.
Yes. And it's because a lot of the restaurants, you could not go in and dine in. There were an abundance of people
Isn't
that
it
were
weird how-
looking for work.
COVID changed different companies were affected in different ways. That's just
Absolutely.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes.
Glad yours was good.
Everybody, yeah. My sister, because there's, a period of time where I didn't like people.
Yeah. Yeah.
She made a comment. She had a hard time. She's a pharmaceutical rep. So her thing is always being around people. She's very
Yeah.
social.
Ooh, yeah, she struggled.
And yeah, it mentally challenged her because she couldn't be in the house all the time and not have that contact with people.
That's tough.
Yes, for her it was very hard. But for me, I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
Like
this
there's
is
nobody
great.
around. Nobody's going outside, it's great. And my sister's like, well, you've been training for this all your life. Yeah, well, it works.
Wow.
So, but we've never stopped. We never stopped working. It wasn't until after things start kind of, settling in and I don't know what happened to the workforce, but we couldn't find anybody to work. So we struggled quite a bit for about a year until I made the decision of we're going to outsource it temporarily. We're going to regroup. We need to come back, but with automated equipment.
Yep.
And we need to take the company to another level. And because my dad is older also,
Yeah.
His body was getting tired. I felt very pressured when he was always talking about how much his body hurts. 'Cause it was still very manual work,
Right.
picking up 50-pound,
Oh, yeah.
what is it? Flour
yeah.
bags, and it takes a toll all day. You're picking up that 50 pounds bags, And my dad's not one who can delegate.
Yeah, he's doing it.
He's doing
Yeah,
it.
he's not going to ask anybody. They'll just grab that
Exactly.
thing
And
go.
I'm just like, he's never known how to delegate, So it was really stressful, and we were not meeting our orders there for a while. So we decided we're gonna outsource it for
and outsourcing means that there's another place that has doing all the production.
Correct.
Yep. So you send your machines out, and then they just make sure that.
They have their own machines.
Oh yeah, so they use their own machines.
Yep.
And then they do all the buying for you, like flour and stuff, or do you still have to do that?
My recipe has, like the flour has to have a certain specs, and vegetable shortening, the same thing. Wow. The preservative or the batch pack, however you want to call it, that's for us. Like I buy that. Wow. They will buy everything, the rest of the components, but to my specifications. Okay. And I buy the secret and send it off. I deliver it. That's mine.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Which there has to be like a reason why. Like you don't want to start tasting like Mission.
Well, hell no.
Disgusting.
No.
Throw up in your mouth.
Right.
Okay. So, okay. So now you've outsourced it, basically just because the workforce was just not there for you.
Yeah. It's, it got to a point where, so like I said, we were not meeting our orders. And my clients have always been very patient and understanding because they were also going through those same things.
Right.
We all were.
Right.
So completely understandable.
That's right.
And I would pull in my siblings and friends on the weekends to help us make it neat. Yeah. But it just took a toll on all of us. Oh. It took a toll on all of us. And me being on the production line is not where I needed it to be.
Right.
I can't sell.
Gotta be high level.
Well, not even that. It's just, a firm believer in being with the team. And when somebody was gone or we needed extra hands, like I'm there, Yeah. I definitely.
That's what you do.
Right. Plus I had to train people,
Oh, yeah.
So
there's that.
Yeah. Or fire them, whatever.
So would you go to this outsourcing place and then help them train those people, or they do that? That's the part that they take off your plate.
I tell them how I want my product to be made.
Okay. And then they just follow suit.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. And so now what's your growth opportunity for Sonora Tortilla?
We are going to bring production back.
Bringing it back.
Yes. And so I have a 2-year limit. 1 year to grow and order the equipment.
Okay.
And the other year to have my equipment built and delivered. Because with this type of equipment, you place an order. It's not like you can go to a warehouse and be like, this is what I want.
Yeah. That refrigerator right there. Bring it over.
It doesn't quite work like that. You have to place the order. It has to be built.
Okay.
And, that takes 8 to 10 months, roughly.
Yeah.
For that to be made. And then by the time it gets transported and trained on it.
Right.
That's
a year.
Yeah. It's a very aggressive goal, but
it needs to happen. You need to bring that thing back.
It's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine.
It's yours. And I think you're going to be able to hire people and create an environment that's like exactly what you're looking for.
Correct.
Instead of someplace where like, okay, outsourcing it filled a need.
Absolutely.
For the time.
Yes.
But now it's time to get back. And you're finding it's harder. It's just not like flip a switch and bring it on back.
Yeah.
You got to be very intentional with how you do this.
Very intentional. And my mind frame was, I'll just bring investors in.
Yeah.
Right? Then 10K happened.
Oh, yes.
And 10K was like,
yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. The bank, you go to the bank first.
And I learned so much in that with that 12 weeks. And for a while there I was really kicking myself. How can I not know this? But we go back to if you don't know, you don't know.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not at fault.
No.
I was following what my parents
Your parents
were doing.
did. Yeah. Right.
Right. And so that you figure that's just the way to go. But I always knew that my time would have been much more efficient not being on the production line. But I'm also the type of person that is like,
brilliant.
If you are not packaging these tortillas to make them look pretty
the right way,
you can't sell them.
Yeah.
Because people buy with their eyes. So if you have a tortilla that looks ugly, Are you going to buy it?
Unless you know about the Sonora Tortillas. Then you just buy them because they taste
Because
amazing.
Exactly.
They do.
Right. They may look like a square.
You should sponsor this. This podcast was sponsored by Sonora Tortillas. There we go.
Thanks.
Sonora Tortillas. So here's the story. There's that, and there's where you're going.
Right.
After the 2 years, what is like your like, and then this is when we do this. Do you have that? Or is it just like, hey, let's bring it back and let's just see where we're at that point?
No.
Because like Hy-Vee needs this. Hy-Vee needs this.
I see the production facility in my head every day. I see myself in my office. I see myself with government contracting. I see myself, with maybe like Albertsons or, going national.
I think so.
Mission started somewhere. So did Tortillas. So did El Popo. I mean, all of these,
And Sonora is like the place in Mexico for flour tortillas. We need to bring the flour tortillas to the world.
That's right.
I'm in it.
Midwest.
Let's go.
The heart of the United States.
Yes.
Yes.
Betty, that's an amazing goal.
Right? I just got goosebumps.
I did too. And so it is tortillas, but there's a bigger story that's being told here. And it started in a Texas living room. Good for you.
Yes.
It's not easy. It's not easy to take a business and scale it. We all know that. Yeah, but take a family business is a whole nother deal, especially when it's something as passionate as tortillas.
Absolutely. And, and it's funny because I've had to step outside the box. And in Mexico, we don't have flavored tortillas.
Okay.
I don't even know how I can explain this without
No, I get it. Like you don't have jalapeno tortillas.
No, I'm not worried about that. Like how trying to be mindful. I don't want to be offensive.
Oh, well. It's uncommon wealth. You can be offensive.
That's right. That works. So I had been knocking on Cisco's door for food service.
Okay.
Right? Because we needed to grow.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Right? And I learned that Cisco is obviously nationwide, but each state has their own, like Cisco, Iowa, Cisco, Nebraska, Cisco, Colorado.
Really?
Yes.
No idea.
Okay, right?
Now I know.
Now you know. So it's not just like one, there is one Cisco, but it has its,
different branches.
Exactly. So they were not opening the doors for me, right? So I went to Iowa State in Ames. And I said, hey, I got tortillas, not flavored, but, what do you guys need? And they're like, oh, we want to support local. Let's do this. And I worked with their chefs, their needs, what it was. And we made one for them, right?
Huh.
And then Cisco reaches out.
Oh, sure. There they come.
Right? And they're like, hey, we want to partner up with you guys, blah, blah, blah. So, okay. We made that deal. Do you guys do wraps?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you do wraps.
We
we'll
do
do
wraps.
whatever wraps you want. Yeah.
Right? And he's like, well, do you know of a company that's currently sourcing to one of our local colleges out here or universities? And I'm like,
they were talking to you.
Ames?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. Do you know who's distributing to them? I'm like, oh yeah, it's me. And then they're like, well, we can distribute those for you. I'm like, no, we're doing it direct.
Right.
Like I had been knocking on your door, wanting to get in.
Me.
Yeah, no. This
is
my client.
Yeah,
this
right.
is my client's mofos.
Yeah.
My client, right? And so when they wanted flavored wraps, I said to my dad, like, Dad, we're going to have to make flavored wraps, And he's like, flavored wraps?
What's that even mean?
Yeah. He's like,
we don't do flavored wraps.
That's exactly what he said. We don't do those. He's like, who eats those? Those are just so gross. I'm like, Dad, the white people want them. We have to make it. It's not what we want.
Right.
It's what they, and our flavored wraps has been a really, huge hit. We have jalapeno cheddar, roasted red pepper and spinach, tomato basil. So that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you do flavored wraps.
So we do flavor wraps for restaurants.
Look at you.
That's right.
I love it. Well, Betty, you're uncommon, and I love your uncommon vision.
Yes.
I love that Sonora Tortillas are in your hands, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future. You're a rock star.
You're going to be part of it.
I can't wait to have a front row seat of it. Let's be honest. And I'm excited to eat it and keep eating it. Okay? I might have to try the flavored wrap.
Nice.
Thank you for being on the show. You've been listening to Uncommon Wealth Podcast. If you have any questions or anything, how can they reach out to you, Betty Garcia?
You can find us on Facebook, Tortilla Sonora Inc. And we're also on Instagram, Tortilla Sonora. Or you can reach out via email, tortillariasonora@outlook.com.
That's perfect. So here's my challenge to everybody. Go try it. They are amazing. They are amazing. Sonora Tortillas, try it. And you tell me that they're not better than Mission. That's my challenge to you. And if you do, I want you to text or email. I'd say just text our feedback line. It's 515-446-8158. And tell us if I'm lying. I'm not lying. They're amazing. So thank you for listening. You've been listening to Uncommon Wealth Podcast. Until next time, go be uncommon and go try my tortilla challenge.
That's all for this episode, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.